My wife texted me. Going to bed early, big day tomorrow. I didn't argue or ask questions. I just checked the camera feed. She wasn't alone. When the camera light turned on, they both looked straight at it. That's when I did exactly what I'd planned. Not the yelling plan. Not the slam the door plan. The other one. In my office, the little monitor on my desk showed the living room like an aquarium. Our couch, our throw blanket, a man's shoes by the mat, brown leather, polished, pointed like they had opinions. Claire's laugh was smaller on camera than it was in person. In person, it filled rooms and made strangers want to help her. On the feed, it sounded like somebody trying not to wake up the house. She wasn't trying not to wake me. He had his hand on her knee like it belonged there. She leaned in, hair sliding over her shoulder, and she did the thing she did when she wanted to be seen. Chin up, eyes half-lidded, smile like a secret. Then the camera's infrared light clicked on, a tiny red blink from the corner of the unit. The system did that when the living room went dim. Both of them looked straight at it. Not surprised, not caught. Acknowledging. It was a message. It was a dare. My stomach didn't drop. It got heavy and calm, like a safe settling into place. I'd been waiting on proof long enough that the moment it arrived felt almost administrative. I opened the app's event log. Motion at 10:47 p.m. Low light, IR on. Clip saved to the local recorder in the closet. Timestamp. Device ID. The kind of details that turn feelings into facts. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I took a screen recording of the feed, slow and steady, like I was documenting a cracked foundation for insurance. Then I did something I didn't think I'd ever do. I turned the sound off. With the sound off, you can watch anything. I stood, grabbed the go bag from the bottom drawer. The bag had been sitting there since June, after Claire told me I was paranoid for wanting cameras inside the house. I'd said, calm as a priest. I install security systems for a living. It's not paranoia if I understand the risk. She'd rolled her eyes. Then she'd asked, too casually, where the closet recorder was. That was when the plan started. I slid the bag strap over my shoulder and pulled a folder from the locked cabinet. Home, finance. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't petty. It was survival. My phone buzzed again. Claire. Love you. Don't stay up too late. I stared at the message until the letters stopped being English and started being noise. Then I walked out into the cold kitchen, opened the drawer by the sink, and took out the spare car key I kept taped under a note that said, "Do not forget." It was for emergencies. This counted. I didn't go to the living room. I didn't open the bedroom door and catch them in real time like a fool in a movie. I went to my truck, and I drove to the one place that makes betrayal expensive: paper and witnesses. The print shop off Route 12 was the kind of place that never fully slept. Neon open sign. Fluorescent lights that made everyone look guilty. A teenager behind the counter who didn't care about my life, only about closing his shift. I printed 3 things first. The event log with timestamps, the screen captures with the camera's ID in the corner, and the phone bill PDF that showed Claire's number and a second line I didn't recognize. A prepaid line attached to our account, added 2 months ago. I already knew it was there. The point wasn't surprise. The point was making a clean stack. While the printer hummed, I called Renee Pike. Renee is my cousin, but that word makes her sound warmer than she is. She's a paralegal for a family law firm in Portland, and she talks like she bills for syllables. "You're calling after midnight," she said. "Somebody better be bleeding." "I'm not," I said, "but my marriage is." Silence. Then, "Where are you?" "Print shop, Route 12. "Okay," she said, and the okay had teeth. "Don't go home. Don't confront. Don't post. Don't text her something you'll regret." "I'm not angry," I said. "That's what scares me," she replied. I told her what I saw. I didn't say the man's name yet because I didn't know it for sure, and Renee hates guesses. I told her about the look into the camera, the message. Renee exhaled like she was stepping into a case. Listen, you own the security system? Yes. Then those clips can be evidence, but keep chain of custody clean. Copy them to a drive. Don't edit. Don't cut. Print logs. Write down times. You hear me? I hear you. And you need a lawyer in town, not me. Someone who knows the judge is there. I figured. Good. Also, she said, do not change the locks tonight. I wasn't going to. You were thinking about it. I didn't answer. Renee gave me a name, attorney Lisa Halloran, 20 minutes away, solid reputation, no drama. She told me to sleep somewhere neutral and to start separating finances the right way in the morning. Your job is not revenge yet, Renee said. Your job is control. I hung up and sat in my truck with the fresh papers on the passenger seat, warm from the printer. On the drive to a motel by the highway, I noticed headlights behind me. Not close, not aggressive, just there. Same distance, same turns. I took a right I didn't need. The headlights followed. I took a left into a residential street. The headlights followed. 3 turns is confirmation. I'd learned that installing cameras for stores that got robbed twice a year. My fingers tightened on the wheel. I didn't speed up. Speeding makes you sloppy. I just kept moving until I hit the Walmart lot, lit like a stadium, cameras everywhere, a place where trouble gets embarrassed. I pulled into a spot near the entrance. The car behind me rolled past, slowed, and parked 2 rows over. It was Claire's car. The engine idled. The headlights stayed off. I didn't get out. I didn't wave. I didn't call her name. I watched the silhouette in the driver's seat, and I realized something colder than betrayal. She wasn't hiding. She was managing me. I met Lisa Halloran at 9 sharp. Her office was above a hardware store, the kind of practical building that said, "We solve problems here." No fountains. Lisa was in her late 40s, hair pulled back, eyes sharp enough to cut through lies without raising her voice. She listened without interrupting while I slid the papers across her desk. When I finished, she nodded once. Okay. You have documentation. That's good. You also have a spouse who may try to flip this into you being controlling. I was thinking that, I said. Of course you were, Lisa replied. First thing, you don't leave your home unless it's unsafe. Second, you keep your behavior clean. No threats, no screaming matches. Third, you separate finances in a way that doesn't look like you're hiding assets. I'm not, I said. I know, Lisa said. But judges don't live in your head. They live in facts. We set a plan. I'd open a separate account for my paycheck, move only my portion of savings based on prior deposit history, and keep records. Lisa would draft a temporary separation agreement, and she told me to document every interaction with Claire going forward, preferably in writing or with witnesses. By noon, I was back at the house. Claire's car was in the driveway. The curtains were open. The place looked staged, cleaned, smelling faintly of lemon like she'd scrubbed the air itself. Claire met me in the kitchen wearing my old sweatshirt, like ownership was a costume. Hey, she said, too bright. You didn't come to bed. I had work stuff, I said. On a Friday night? She asked, laughing lightly, like my absence was quirky. I set my keys down. I kept my face neutral. Lisa had said, clean behavior. Claire stepped closer. Her perfume hit me, that expensive floral she bought after she started networking more. You okay? You seem distant. I'm fine. Her eyes flicked toward the hallway, toward my office door, then back to me. Big day tomorrow, she said. I told you. I didn't want to wake you. I said, like I believed her. Her mouth tightened just a fraction. You know, she said, sometimes I feel like you don't trust me. I didn't answer right away. In my head, I saw the camera clip, the look straight into the lens. I trust what I can verify. I said quietly. Claire blinked. That's a weird thing to say. It's my job, I replied. She tried another angle. You and your cameras, she said, a hint of mockery. It's like living with a security guard. I'm not watching you, I said. I'm watching my house. The air changed. It was subtle, but I felt it, like the room had leaned forward. Claire smiled, slow. Right, she said. Your house. Her phone lit up on the counter. She flipped it face down too fast, but I caught one word on the lock screen, bold and bright. Delete. Claire took her coffee and walked toward the living room. I'm going to run some errands for tomorrow, she called over her shoulder. Don't be weird today, okay? The door shut behind her. I stood there in the kitchen, listening to the quiet. Then I walked into my office and checked the recorder in the closet. Someone had accessed it at 4:12 a.m. By mid-afternoon, I knew what big day tomorrow meant. The town's developer, Trent Larkin, was unveiling his lakeside project. New condos, boutique shops, revitalization. The kind of word that means somebody's rent will double. There was a charity gala tied to it, held at the renovated paper mill event space. Tickets sold out, sponsors plastered on banners, photos already scheduled in people's minds. Claire was the face of the marketing campaign. Her firm's logo sat on every invitation. She'd been posting about it for weeks, hard hat selfies at the site, glossy renderings, captions about community. Trent's name was on the sponsor list in a font bigger than God. In a different life, I would have been proud of her. I would have worn a suit and smiled for pictures, and we would have played the couple in love while everybody clapped. Instead, I sat in my truck outside the mill district and watched vendors unload tables and lights like they were building a stage for the truth. I had a reason to be there. The venue had hired my company last month to consult on their security cameras after a break-in. I'd given them a quote. I hadn't installed anything yet, but I had an appointment that afternoon to walk the site. The event coordinator, a stressed woman named Marcy, greeted me with a clipboard and tired eyes. You're early, she said. Better than late, I replied. She led me through the hall. White string lights, exposed brick, a bar being assembled. In the back, a corridor of service doors and utility rooms, the arteries nobody sees. Marcy pointed at a corner. We need that camera angled down, she said. Last time the feed was useless. I looked up and felt my pulse tick once. The camera had been moved. The angle was wrong, aimed at an empty stretch of wall. Somebody had rotated it on purpose, subtle enough that most people wouldn't notice. Not me. Who adjusted it? I asked. Marcy frowned. I don't know. Our maintenance guy? Maybe the AV crew. Do you have a log? I asked. She gave me a look. It's a camera, not a bank. Everything is a bank, I said, and she laughed because she thought I was joking. I checked the mounting bracket. Fresh fingerprints in the dust. I didn't touch them. I just photographed. On my way out, I cut through the hallway by the offices. That's where I ran into Trent Larkin. He was taller than I expected, broad shoulders, expensive jacket, smile like a handshake. He looked at me like he already owned the space around my body. Nate Garner, he said, like my name was a fact he'd filed away. Trent, I said. I kept my tone flat. He stepped closer, close enough that I could smell whiskey even in daylight. Claire tells me you're good with security, he said. Makes sense. You like knowing where everything is. I like systems that work, I replied. Trent's grin widened. Tomorrow's going to be big, he said. A lot of eyes, a lot of talk. You and Claire doing okay? She seems stressed. I stared at him. In my head, I saw him on my couch, hand on my wife's knee, looking into my camera. We're fine, I said. Trent's voice dropped. You still think this is your life? He asked softly. Then he patted my shoulder like we were friends and walked away. My phone buzzed with a motion alert from home. Camera, Office. Time. Now. I drove like I had an emergency, because I did, just not the kind people call 911 for. The road from the Mill District to my neighborhood runs along the lake for a stretch, black water on one side and trees on the other. It's a pretty drive if your mind isn't on fire. Halfway there, I saw a dark SUV merge behind me. Same one I'd seen at Walmart the night before. I was sure of it. Same squared shape. Same way it kept the perfect distance. I didn't slam the gas. I didn't brake check. I did what I do when I need proof. I let the pattern show itself. At the next roundabout, I went around once, then exited. The SUV went around once, then exited. Okay. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my hands were steady. Steady is a weapon. The house looked normal. No broken windows, no lights on, just quiet, like it was holding its breath. I went straight to my office. The door was closed, but the knob was turned slightly to the left, like someone had pulled it and let it settle. Inside, nothing looked disturbed at first glance. Desk, monitor, router, the folder cabinet locked. Then I saw it. My laptop was open. I never leave it open. The cursor blinked on a blank document. The trash bin icon on the desktop was highlighted. I clicked it. Empty. But the system log showed a deletion at 2:09 p.m. File removed. Nate, behavior, timeline. Docx. My stomach didn't drop. It narrowed. Claire had been in my office. Not for money, not for jewelry, for the story. I checked the camera feed for the office. At 2:06, the camera went offline for exactly 3 minutes. At 2:09, it came back. A clean cut. Someone had learned where the recorder was. Someone had learned how to make my system look unreliable. My phone buzzed. Claire. Running behind. Don't wait up for dinner. Tomorrow's going to be insane. I stared at the message until I could hear Lisa's voice. Judges live in facts. I went to the closet, opened the recorder panel, and pulled the hard drive. Then I replaced it with the spare drive I'd bought 2 weeks ago and never installed. Same model. Same serial format. I'd labeled it with a piece of tape that said second. I put the original drive in my go bag. If Claire wanted to erase the story, she'd have to find every copy. And I'd already decided she wouldn't. Renee had warned me people in town wouldn't pick sides until they had to. She was wrong. They picked sides all the time. They just pretended they weren't. Dawn Larkin called me at 6 that evening. I didn't have her number saved, but the name popped up because she'd been in my contacts from a charity committee email chain years ago. I answered. Hello. Her voice was calm, but it sounded like a calm that had been practiced in front of mirrors. Nate, it's Dawn. I didn't speak. I know, she said, about Claire, about Trent, about last night. How? I asked. I got a notification on our card at 10:53 p.m. wine delivery. Your address, she said. Trent didn't come home. And then this morning I saw Claire's post about the gala with a caption about late nights and big dreams. I've been married long enough to know when somebody's writing a new script. I swallowed. What do you want? To not be the last person in town to know I'm being made into a joke, Dawn said. We met at the diner, the one by the lake with the pie that tastes like nostalgia and regret. Dawn arrived in a dark coat, hair perfect, eyes hollow in a way that made me think of winter roads. She slid into the booth across from me and put her phone on the table. I'm not here to cry, she said. I'm here to finish something. She showed me screenshots. A calendar invite from Trent's assistant. Private room, Mill Gala, 8:30. The reservation was under a fake name. The guest list included one number, Claire's. Dawn tapped the screen. He's done this before, she said. Different woman, different town, same pattern. He likes power. He likes the feeling that people will protect him. People do protect him, I said. Dawn looked at me, and for a second there was heat behind her calm. Not if they see it in the light, she said. Not if it costs them. I thought about the way Claire and Trent looked into my camera, like they were daring me to react. She wanted me to see, I said. Dawn nodded like she'd already gotten there. She wants you loud, she said. She wants you messy. She wants you to be the story, not her. I reached into my bag and slid a USB drive across the table. This is the clip, I said. And the logs, timestamps, device IDs, no edits. Dawn didn't touch it. She just stared. Tomorrow, she said, they're going to stand on stage and talk about community. They're going to smile while we sit in the dark like idiots. We don't have to, I said. Dawn's mouth curved into something that wasn't a smile. No, she said, we don't. The mill event space glowed like a fake dream. Warm lights, black tie outfits, champagne flutes catching reflections, the smell of money pretending it was kindness. I wore a navy suit that still fit from a cousin's wedding. I didn't wear my ring. I didn't want to. Claire floated through the crowd in a green dress that looked like it had been poured onto her. She laughed in the right places, touched arms, tilted her head when people complimented her, like she was trained for it. Trent stood near the stage with a small circle of important men, his hand resting at the small of Claire's back like it belonged there too. He looked relaxed, invincible. Dawn arrived alone. No Trent on her arm. That was already a statement in this town. I stayed near the back by the service corridor where the cameras watched and nobody did. My phone vibrated with messages I didn't read. It didn't matter what anyone wanted from me tonight. At 7:58, Marcy, the coordinator, tapped the mic. If everyone can find their seats, she said, voice bright with stress, we're going to begin. Trent moved toward the stage. Claire followed, just off his shoulder, ready to beam. I opened my email draft. It was addressed to the event chair, to Claire's firm's HR address, and to 2 board members whose emails were publicly listed on the charity site. Not a blast, a targeted drop. Subject line, documentation RE, conflict of interest, misconduct, mill gala, attachment list, time-stamped event logs, unedited clip, phone account line addition record, and Dawn's reservation screenshot. Lisa had reviewed it that afternoon and told me the wording was clean, factual, no insults, no threats, just a timeline and questions. At 8:00, Trent stepped into the spotlight. At 8:10, I hit send. My thumb didn't shake. Trent started talking about revitalization and dreams, about jobs, about lifting the community. While he talked, I watched faces in the crowd flicker as phones vibrated. People glanced down without meaning to. That's how you know a message landed. Claire's smile held for 15 seconds longer than it should have. Then I saw it, her eyes narrowing, a tiny twitch at the corner of her mouth. Dawn stood near the front, one hand on the back of a chair, watching Trent like she was watching a man walk onto ice. Trent's speech faltered for half a beat. He recovered. Powerful people always do, until they can't. After the applause, he moved off stage toward the private corridor. Claire followed, but she was already checking her phone. I slipped into the hallway first, my footsteps quiet on the concrete. Trent came around the corner fast, jaw tight. He grabbed my arm and shoved me against the wall, just enough to make it a threat without making it a crime. You think you're clever, he hissed. I'm organized, I said. His face was close to mine. I could see the veins in his eyes, the way rage tries to wear a suit. You're finished in this town, Trent said. You hear me? You don't know who you're dealing with. I looked at the security camera above us, a little dome unit, recording everything. Then I looked back at Trent. Careful, I said. Threats sound great on audio. He froze. Claire appeared behind him, breath quick. Trent, she whispered. Then to me, what did you do? I didn't answer. I stepped away and walked back into the crowd like I was heading to the bar. Behind me, I heard Dawn's voice, low, clear, saying Trent's name in a tone that made people turn. Power doesn't vanish. It relocates. Trent left the gala early, not with a speech, but with a shoulder turned and a tight face, like he'd decided he didn't have time for this. That's what men do when they're losing. Dawn didn't chase him. She stayed, talked quietly to the event chair, and let the room watch her not protect her husband. That was the real shock. In a town like this, wives are expected to smile through smoke. I left 10 minutes later when the gossip engine was fully running. Outside, the air had that sharp lake bite. I saw Trent's SUV tear out of the parking lot and head toward the Marina Road, the one that curves behind the old boatyard. I followed at a distance, not because I wanted to fight him. I didn't. Fights are messy. They turn you into the story. I wanted him somewhere cameras could see him small. The marina was half lit, security floodlights throwing hard shadows across boats wrapped in winter plastic. The office building was closed, but the yard had cameras. My cameras. I'd installed them last spring. I parked where the lens could capture my face clearly. I wanted no questions. Trent stood by his boat slip, phone pressed to his ear, pacing like an animal in a cage that cost more than my truck. I walked toward him, hands visible, steps slow. He spun. "You're insane," he snapped. "No," I said. "I'm precise." He laughed, sharp. "You sent a little email and think you did something? People will forget by Monday." "They won't," I said. "Not the people you need." Trent moved closer, shoulders squaring. He looked like he wanted to throw me into the lake and call it an accident. I didn't back up. I reached into my inside jacket pocket and pulled out a folded paper. Not a weapon. A document. "What's that?" he demanded. "A trespass notice," I said. "For my property." Trent blinked. "This isn't your—" "The marina cameras are on my company account until the contract transfers next month," I said. "And the boatyard's owner is my client. He asked me to handle security issues on site. Tonight counts." Trent's face reddened. "You can't—" I raised my phone and hit call. "Boatyard security," a man answered, sleepy but alert. "This is Nate Garner," I said. "We've got an unauthorized person at slip C14 and an escalating confrontation. I'm on camera. I need you here." Trent's eyes widened. "You called security on me?" "I called security on a problem," I said. He stepped closer. "You want to be a hero?" he said. "You want to play tough? You're nothing. Claire picked me because you're nothing." The words hit where they were designed to hit. Old places. Soft places. I didn't give him the reaction Claire wanted me to have. I leaned in just enough to speak low. "You sat on my couch," I said. "You looked into my camera. You thought that was power." Trent's mouth opened, but no sound came out. I held the folded paper between two fingers like it was a cigarette. "This is what power looks like," I said. "Paper, timestamps, people who don't owe you anything." Footsteps crunched gravel behind us. Two security guys in jackets approached, one holding a flashlight. "What's going on?" the taller one asked. Trent snapped, "This is ridiculous." "Sir," the guard said, shining the light. "Are you being asked to leave?" Trent stared at me. His pride fought his survival. Then his phone rang. He answered without looking away. "Wait," he said into the phone. His voice shifted. "What do you mean the board is meeting tonight?" His face drained. He looked past me, toward the dark water, like he could run into it and come out clean. The guard spoke again, polite but firm. "Sir, you need to step off the property." Trent backed up, hands slightly raised, forced into the posture of a man who could be mistaken for guilty. I didn't touch him. I didn't have to. He walked away from his own myth under floodlights and cameras. Claire showed up at the marina 10 minutes later, breathless, hair loose, makeup starting to crack at the edges. She looked like a woman running from a fire she set herself. "You," she said, voice shaking. "What did you do to him?" "I didn't do anything to him," I said. "I showed people who he is." Claire's eyes flicked to the security guards, then back to me. She lowered her voice. "You can't do this," she said. "You're going to ruin everything." "You already did," I replied. She stepped closer, trying the old tools, softness, tears, the way she could make a room feel like it needed to comfort her. "I made a mistake," she said. It meant nothing. Trent. He's a client. It got complicated. You're making it worse. I pulled out my phone and opened the event log. I held it up. Someone disabled my office camera for 3 minutes today, I said. Someone deleted a file off my laptop. Someone tried to rewrite the story. Claire's face went still. So what? She snapped. You're always watching. It's creepy. That's the narrative you were building, I said. The controlling husband, the paranoid security guy. Her mouth opened, closed. I reached into my jacket and handed her a copy of the temporary separation agreement Lisa had drafted. Not final, not dramatic, just the first real line in a clean process. What is this? Claire asked, eyes darting over the pages. It's me leaving the table, I said. Legally. She laughed, but it sounded broken. You think paperwork scares me? Not paperwork, I said. Loss of access. Claire's phone buzzed. She looked down. Her face changed in a way I'd never seen before, like the ground under her had shifted and nobody had warned her. What? She whispered. Then louder. No, no, no. She looked at me. My card just got declined, she said, voice rising. My firm, Marcy, someone, Lisa Halloran is calling me. Why is a lawyer calling me? Because you're not the main character in your story anymore, I said. Claire's eyes flashed with anger. You're doing this because you're jealous, she said. Because you can't stand that I matter. I felt something in my chest, old hurt trying to crawl up and become noise. I didn't let it. I'm doing this because you looked into my camera, I said quietly. You wanted me to break. You wanted me to swing. You wanted a scene. Claire's voice dropped to a hiss. I can still ruin you, she said. People will believe me. They would have, I said, if I hadn't planned for you. I nodded toward the security cameras on the marina pole. Every move I made tonight is on record, I said. Every call, every timestamp, and Lisa has the original drive from my house. The one you didn't know existed. Claire's eyes went wide, and for the first time, she looked scared of me. Not because I was violent, but because I was unmovable. Behind her, Dawn's car pulled into the lot. Dawn stepped out, phone in hand, posture straight. She looked at Trent's empty slip, then at Claire, then at me. Dawn didn't speak to Claire. She didn't need to. She held her phone up so Claire could see the email on the screen. Board meeting, emergency vote, effective immediately. Trent's name was in the subject line. So was Claire's. Claire made a sound like a laugh and a sob collided. You teamed up with her? She said. I teamed up with the truth, I replied. Claire took a step toward me, hands shaking. Please, she said, voice suddenly small. Nate, don't do this. I looked at her, really looked. The woman I'd built routines with. The woman who knew where I kept my spare keys. The woman who had decided my loyalty was something she could spend. There's a difference between mercy and permission, I said. I'm done giving you both. Claire's phone rang. She answered, and I watched her face tighten as someone spoke on the other end. She tried to talk over them, tried to negotiate, tried to smile in her voice. It didn't work. When she hung up, she looked at me like she'd never met me before. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my house key. The metal caught the floodlight. I'm not changing the locks tonight, I said. You can go home. You can sleep in the bed you lied in. You can stare at the ceiling and listen to the town talk. Claire swallowed hard. Where will you go? I paused. The answer didn't matter. Then I turned and walked toward my truck. Before I got in, I looked up at the nearest camera. The tiny status light blinked, steady, faithful. I opened the app and toggled one setting. Camera light. Off. The yard went back to being just a yard. The lake went back to being just water. The world went back to not caring. I drove away while Claire stood under the floodlights, clutching paper she couldn't charm, watching the last thing she controlled slip out of reach.